Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome to our admissions officer Q&A. It's a virtual event. Thank you for joining us here. So my name is Terry Carey. I am an assistant director of admissions here at Duffield Engineering. Joining me this evening is my colleague, Robin Kren, who is also an assistant director of admissions here.
Hi, everybody.
Again, thank you for coming. We're so glad that you're here, and we are excited to answer as many of your questions as we can. We received over 250 questions for this session, so thank you so much for sending them to us, and we are really excited to answer them for you. What we did was we grouped them into different categories to kind of help us cover as many of the topics that you guys were curious about as we can throughout today's session. So throughout the event, Robin and I are going to each take a lead on a different topic area and then answer the questions that you submitted. And we're going to do our best to address as many as we can. We also encourage you to watch our online information session. I think a lot of the additional information you're going to get, it's going to explore the topics in a greater detail. So you might want to check those out, which are available on our website as well. So with that, let's get started. I'm going to start with our first category, and that is admissions and application questions that you all sent in. So before I get into the actual questions, I'm going to do a quick overview just to kind of cover some bases. So the first thing for you all to know is that when you submit your application, it is collected by UAO, or Undergraduate Admissions Office. And basically, they take all the materials like your transcripts, your teacher letter of recommendation, the actual application that you fill out, and it all gets collected there. And once all of the materials are submitted and there, it gets sent off to Duffield Engineering Admissions, and that is where we come in. Robin and I and our staff review all of the applications there. So I only review engineering applications. Robin only reviews engineering applications. Our staff is only going to review those students who are applying to our college specifically. So our review process is holistic, meaning that we look at the entire application and all of its parts when we are making a decision. So we're going to look at your academic component, which is like your transcripts. We're going to look at your standardized testing component, like your SAT or ACT scores, and then your personal component, which are like your essays, your co-curriculars, letters of recommendation, things like that. We take all of that and we put it in the context of your high school. So that means that we are evaluating which courses you took against what your high school offers. So in order to see the rigor and how much you pushed it, we only look at that within the context of your high school. So if your high school's highest calc class that's offered is BC Calc, and you enrolled in BC Calc, then that's wonderful. Congratulations and fantastic. That's what we're looking for in terms of rigor within the context of your school. In your application itself, we want you to be yourself. We want you to use your voice. Tell us who you are through the experiences that you're having in your essays. So with all of that said, I'm going to get into the actual questions that some of you submitted. And here we go. The first is, if applicants have similar grades, rigor, and co-curriculars, how does Cornell decide who is admitted? Great question. In terms of having similar grades and rigor, yes, many of our students look the same academically. So in the personal component, that's where you can shine. So we have a very competitive pool. We see a lot of great transcripts, a lot of great standardized testing scores. So those two sections can look very similar. Where you can shine is your essays and your list of activities, your co-curriculars, your resume. You can tell me who you are. You can reflect on your experiences. You can introduce me to what you would like to do here at Duffield Engineering. In addition, we kind of pick up on characteristics of students throughout the whole application, throughout your essays and everything, the letters of recommendation. So engineers can be many things, and we want students who enjoy math and science, who enjoy problem solving, but we also want students who are going to be able to communicate, who can work as a team, who can collaborate with others, if they have high emotional intelligence working with others. We want curious students. If you are kind, kindness goes such a long way. And if we see that throughout the application, then that's wonderful to see. And we want you to be a part of our community, right? So you don't have to be all of these things. We're not saying these are all the things we look for and you have to get them all. That's not the case. But if you are some of these things, those are some of the things that we look at and pay attention to in terms of hoping that what we want our community to look like here at Duffield Engineering. All right, so our next question is, what are the biggest mistakes applicants make in their Duffield engineering applications, especially in essays? This is a wonderful question, really good one. And I have two big mistakes that when I was reflecting on this to think about. The first, I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they tell me about all of the great things that Duffield Engineering has to offer in their essays. And so we ask you, one of our questions is, why would you love to study here? And if you are telling me because of project teams, because of research, because of our amazing facilities, to be quite honest, I know all of that. I know that we have a great research labs. I know that we have fantastic project teams. What I don't know is who you are and what you're going to do with those programs. So here is where there's a pitfall sometimes people fall into. Well, listing all these great things. Wonderful. What are you going to do in all of those things? So make sure that you are the main character and Duffield Engineering is the setting in this. We want to tell you, I want you to tell me what you're going to bring to the program and how that program is going to maybe help you to get to where you want to be. Who are you going to be on that project team? What kind of research interests you and why? What kind of experiences have you had that makes you feel like that's a link that you're going to really enjoy and to participate in here? So this question is really 90% about you and only 10% about us. Again, Robin and I, we know all about our wonderful um, programs and everything that goes into it, but we don't know who you are. So tell us who you are. I think the second big mistake that sometimes people try to do is they sound different than who they are. We want you to use your voice. You should sound like yourself. Don't try to overly complicate your essay with vocabulary or to try to sound super smart. You should sound like a 17 or 18-year-old ready to go to college. That's the voice that we are expecting to hear. You shouldn't sound like anyone else. You shouldn't sound like a 50-year-old. You shouldn't sound like all of the people who reviewed your essay, or maybe you had people help you edit it. They can give you feedback, but don't take their voice. Make sure you keep your voice in the essay. That's really important. We have to read a lot of essays when we go through this. And sometimes when you write something that's overly complex and really tough to get through, it's hard on our end. If I have to stop and actually look up words because I just am not familiar with them, it's not kind of in a reflective way and just like common language. You can definitely be polished. We want you to put your best foot forward. But I'm assuming that most 17 or 18-year-olds don't speak like that all of the time. So we want it to represent who you are. So please be yourself, use your voice, and don't try to make it more complicated than it is. All right, our next question. How valuable are research internships, published papers, independent engineering projects, and advanced engineering experiences during admission? So we look at co-curriculars as a part of the application, and we want to see what you are participating in, and we want those to be bigger than bigger than yourself. We want to see that you're a part of communities doing other things outside of yourself. So I want people, and I know that people asked about specific things and like, should I have a spike of something or should I have a breath of something? Like, is this a great thing to have? I want to see how you spend your time. And maybe that's that you love music or you're a volunteer or you are deep in research and you shouldn't be super concerned about, oh, will they like this? Is this going to get me in? I want it to tell me about how you spend your time and what's important to you, and how you are satisfying like your curiosity and what you're doing outside of that. In addition, I want to make note of this is that some students need to work to help bring income into their house. They need to babysit younger siblings, cousins, things like that. And that tells me a lot about who you are in a great way as well. So that shows me about responsibility, putting other people first. It helps me put your home life into context with your application. And so I think that is just as important or reflective as someone who is selected to do research or has a patent. You're involved in something bigger than yourself, and you're showing me that you're a great teammate. You're giving back. It showcases a lot of different things. So it can showcase, curiosity, kindness, all of these things. So I wouldn't worry about what we want to see, more just about how you're communicating, how you spend your time. And we just want to know more about who you are. All right, our next question is, if a student hasn't decided on a specific engineering field yet, how should they present themselves in the application? Great question. I think Duffield Engineering is a great option for you. We don't expect you to know what you want to do yet. And it's okay. And it's actually encouraged for you to say, I'm not sure if you really are not sure. You can talk about experiences you've had. You can talk about overall engineering interests that you have, where you think you are leaning towards, but also you can tell us about how Duffield Engineering can help you get to where you want to be and what you think it'll be like to be here and make those decisions in the programs that we have. You can be honest, do some research about our program and kind of see what is going to make you think more about what you're leaning towards and how we can help you with that pathway. All right, I have two more questions in this section. I'm going to pass it on to Robin after. The next question is, does Cornell recalculate GPAs? No, we do not recalculate your GPA. We look at it within the context of your high school. So if your high school has grades that are letter grades, A, B, C, D, we will just say like, these are the A's, B's, C's, D's, whatever. And we do not change anything about it. If it's on a 5-point scale, if it's on a 4-point scale, we've kind of seen it all. But we do not do any kind of recalculating. It is all within the context of your high school, and that's where we take it. All right, our final question for this section is, can applicants submit a portfolio or website with their application? Yes, absolutely. We have a couple of places where you can do that, and our additional information box is a great place. You can put a website link there and let us know, what you have in that website for us to look at. In addition, we have supplemental materials that you can go ahead and add in like pictures or sometimes people put art in there, all different things that you can put. Now, I would caution you on submitting too much supplemental information. Yes, we want to see these great projects you're doing. If you have them, I would love to, I like to review those. But each application is easily 50 pages of material. So while I do love seeing it and it's wonderful if you have some representation of it, please do not upload 100 different files of all of the projects you've done. It's just too much information. It's a lot for us to review. So if you have something, great, but just be cautious and thoughtful about how much you're actually attaching. And with that, I am going to pass it to Robin.
Thanks, Terry. So we have a few related questions to what Terry was just talking about regarding applying an advanced placement. So I will jump in with those questions. So my first question is, what mindset should applicants have during the admissions process? This is a good question and one that I could have a whole conversation about, but I'll do my best to be brief. During the admissions process, we'd encourage you to first take a step back and think about your purpose. So how do you do that? Ask yourself a few questions. Who am I? What are the things I value? Where am I going? And what do I want to do in this world? As you take this approach, you can focus your search in your application and have a more enjoyable experience. Remember, when we review your application, we want to learn about you. Next, which high school coursework best prepares students for engineering? So whether you're a first-year applicant or a transfer applicant, we have specific courses listed as admissions requirements. Engineering students need to be prepared for a rigorous STEM curriculum upon arrival. So for those applicants who are currently in high school, we require 4 units of math, including one of calculus, 1 unit of physics, and 1 unit of chemistry. Under most circumstances, a unit is equivalent to 1 academic year of study. We also recommend, but don't require, 1 unit of computer science and 1 unit of biology. So as you're selecting your courses, think about those STEM courses that are available to you, and are you taking those the most rigorous curriculum that makes sense for you? Next, how are AP and dual enrollment credits used? Can AP credit allow students to start advanced engineering courses early? So AP, dual enrollment, and other advanced placement courses, such as International Baccalaureate credits, are very useful first in the admissions review process to show us that you're completing advanced courses that are available to you. Matriculating students may be able to use credit from some of those courses to meet program requirements, and that's usually from your first year courses. As you're preparing to register for classes, you will receive guidance from our advising team on how your advanced placement credit might be applied to your program. Okay, so This next section addresses some questions that are regarding early decision versus regular decision, as well as some financial aid related questions. So I'm going to back up just a little bit and give you a brief overview of the application timeline. There are two times that a first-year applicant can submit their application. First, we have early decision. The application deadline is November 1st, and applicants receive their notification in mid-December. If an applicant is admitted for early decision, it is expected that they'll attend Cornell and that they'll withdraw any other applications they may have already submitted. First-year applicants also have the option to apply during regular decision. The regular decision application deadline is January 2nd, and applicants are notified of their decision at the end of March or early April. If an applicant is admitted during regular decision, we'd love for them to attend Cornell, but they do have the opportunity to choose from any of the institutions they've been admitted to. Any applicants are also welcome to apply for financial aid. Here at Cornell, there's a separate office for financial aid, so please do check their website for application deadlines and all other financial details beyond what I provide for you here today. The deadlines do vary depending on whether an applicant applies for early decision or regular decision, and whether they're an international applicant or a domestic applicant. So that brings us to our first question. Who is considered a domestic applicant versus an international applicant, and why does this matter? So our applicants come from across the United States and from around the world. There are different ways that you can consider domestic versus international, so I'm happy to clarify that here. Most of the time that we refer to domestic versus international is respect to citizenship. This is because our admissions review process is need blind for domestic applicants, but it is need aware for international applicants. A domestic student holds a U.S. citizenship or one of the following residency statuses. So again, U.S. citizenship, you could have a U.S. dual citizenship. You could have permanent residency that's been approved and is not pending. An undocumented student with and without DACA who graduate from a U.S. high school, or a refugee or asylee. Now, an international applicant is one who does not hold a U.S. citizenship or one of the other statuses that I just listed. If you are an international applicant whose pending status changes in the middle of the application process, please do let us know ASAP. Okay, next question. How much of an advantage does early decision provide compared to regular decision, including for international applicants? This is a great question, and I can give you some statistics and some other things to ask yourself if you're debating between the two. First, I want to start by telling you that my answer will be the same regardless of whether you're a domestic or international applicant. Okay, so let's talk numbers and keep in mind that these numbers are not set in stone and can vary slightly from one year to the next. Our admit rate for early decision is in the ballpark of 20%, and our admit rate for regular decision is much lower at less than 10%. So statistically speaking, there's a higher chance of being admitted if you apply for early decision. But you also need to think about that commitment if you're admitted for early decision. So let me ask you a question. If you apply for early decision and you're admitted, are you ready and excited to commit to attending Cornell? If your answer is yes, then early decision might be the right choice for you. If the answer is no, maybe you want to consider multiple institutions or multiple offers, then you should consider applying for regular decision, and that's okay too. Okay, so another early decision related question. If I'm admitted in early decision, but financial aid is insufficient, what options are available? So one caveat actually to the early decision commitment has to do with the financial aid package. If you're admitted during early decision and the financial aid package does not meet your needs, you may withdraw without consequence. Now, I'd like to mention that whether an applicant is admitted in early or in regular decision, their financial aid package would be the same. Here at Cornell, we're committed to affordability, and we do want to remove financial aid barriers to allow students to focus on their education. The financial aid office does a great job of matching demonstrated need. But if you need a financial aid package or if you receive a financial aid package that doesn't meet your needs, early decision applicants can withdraw. It is also possible to submit an appeal, and from there you can work with a financial aid office to see if there's anything else that can be considered. Another financial question is, what financial aid and scholarship opportunities exist for engineering students, particularly out-of-state students? So there are a variety of financial aid solutions at Cornell, so I'm going to list a handful here. First, there are Cornell grants and endowed scholarships that are need-based. Then there are also federal grants, state grants, and scholarships. Cornell students may also apply to outside scholarships, and these are scholarships that are awarded separately from the federal, state, and Cornell specific financial aid. We also have a work-study financial aid program that lets eligible students work part-time through Cornell. So everything I've listed so far does not need to be paid back. Beyond those scholarships, grants, and work study, there are educational loans, and that's money that would be borrowed and must be repaid. So I also do want to mention that there are educational benefits that are for eligible veterans, for military service members, and sometimes for their dependents. And so now I'm going to turn it back over to Terry, who's going to talk a bit about internships, careers, and industry.
Thank you. So yeah, a little bit of a background before we get into the meat of the questions. Let's talk about post-college outcomes, right? That's why you go to college, so that you have a goal at the end of it. And a little bit about the resources we have here. So the university has a Cornell Career Network, which is a place you can go to get help with like your resume and help connect you with different resources for jobs and things like that. And students can use that as a resource. It's like a career services office. We find that students who do visit that office and utilize their services have a better outcome when it comes to finding jobs and exploring career pathways. So you need to take the initiative, get to the office, go there, and they're going to have an abundance of support that will help you guide you through what you're going to look for in terms of post-graduation life. So our first question is, how does Duffield Engineering help students obtain internships and industry experience? So students who are looking for assistance in getting internships, industry experience, and jobs are encouraged to connect with that office, the Cornell Career Network team. There are staff there that specialize in engineering specifically as well that can help you. The team there can help guide you through a variety of things, from writing a resume to a cover letter, searching for a job, preparing for interviews. They're going to be able to guide you through it all. They have also something called Handshake, and that is a web-based network for career information that gives students informs them of events on campus and provides them with extensive resources. Handshake is also used for searching for jobs and internships. So students can actually apply right there directly on Handshake. So they have a lot of great resources for students. Next question is, how do companies recruit Duffield engineers? So companies can send job postings directly to our Cornell Career Network. There are also career fairs that they have where the companies come directly to campus to specifically recruit university students, Cornell University students. All right, and our last question in this section is, which career outcomes do graduates typically pursue? So for our class of 2025, which is the most recent data that we have, 97% of our students had a next step planned 6 months post-graduation. So breaking that down and what it actually looks like, 56% of our students entered the workforce and got their first job. 41% of students entered graduate school. So that could mean they're going on to their PhD, their master's, law school, med school, whatever it is. They're continuing their education with that. The remaining 3% were either still trying to figure out their next steps or they entered into a service program. We have a public-facing student career outcomes dashboard that you can find on our website, and you can break it down even more to see like different statistics of different majors, different populations. You can look, it's a really cool, actually, just if you love data, you can go around and fool with it. But being able to see all of the different outcomes there, I encourage you to go there and see what that's like. In addition, the mean starting salary for that class was $105,000. So I can say with good confidence that we set up our students pretty well. 97% of them have something ready to go 6 months post-graduation. So we have a lot of resources and support for our students, and they turn out to have some really good outcomes. So now I'll hand it back to Robin.
Thank you. So I'm going to move along to the next section of our program and talk about the wide variety of experiences that our students may have. This is going to be a brief overview and just the tip of the iceberg, as we could spend an hour talking about any one of these opportunities. So, as you'd imagine, our students follow a curriculum that involves time in the classroom, but our students have many other opportunities and are encouraged to get involved outside of the classroom. So let's dive into these questions. First, we have, what makes Duffield Engineering unique compared to other top engineering schools? We have a number of opportunities that are very unique to Duffield Engineering, so I'll mention a few now. First is our Sealander Center for Engineering Leadership. The Sealander Center offers a variety of initiatives designed for our undergraduate population. Then we have our student project teams, where there are 36 student-run teams. 1,800 students are involved, and the students come from all across Cornell, all the Cornell colleges and schools. Then we have multiple opportunities for studying abroad, including Global Start Cantabria, which is our newest program that allows a cohort of students to study in Cantabria, Spain, their first semester at Duffield Engineering. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention undergraduate research opportunities. Cornell is a Research One institution, and our faculty really does want undergraduate students in the labs with them. At any time, up to 50% of our students are involved in research. Also, we are the highest ranking engineering college in the Ivy League. Second question, what is the balance between theoretical learning and hands-on learning? Many of our courses do involve theoretical learning, and the students will sit in a traditional classroom, but we also have courses that are lab-based, and our students will spend time in the labs learning by doing. On top of the required coursework, students have opportunities to participate in research, project teams, and more. Next, we have, how are hands-on projects integrated into the first 2 years? So our students are welcome to get involved in projects as early as their first year. While you may not want to commit yourself to too many activities as soon as you arrive, you can spend some time exploring and learning about the opportunities that we offer early on. And then once you get comfortable here, you can get more involved. For example, first-year students can start exploring project teams upon arrival on campus. Project Teams Fest is in early September, so right after you show up. And then first-year students can apply to join a project team as early as mid-October in their first year. That's not the only time. They can apply later as well. Students who do join a team could participate in some team activities starting in November, but they won't enroll in credit for project teams until the next semester. Next, we have, how does Cornell prepare students for real-world engineering work? Aside from courses, Duffield Engineering students can prepare for the real world in many ways, including those that I listed above. I do want to talk a bit about the Sealander Center for Engineering Leadership, as programs here can be particularly helpful. First and foremost, there's the COMPASS program. COMPASS stands for Coaching and Mentoring for Professional and Student Success. And the program is intended for students who want to be intentional about their personal and professional development. Students learn critical thinking and decision-making tools and will receive guidance on professional skills like networking, time management, and communication. Students in this program will also work with alumni and peer mentors. Also a part of the Sealander Center, there's an engineering leadership certification, there are leadership skills clinic, and there's professional coaching. Okay, next. Is the engineering culture collaborative or competitive? This is a great question, and we hear it all the time. And I will tell you, you're definitely going to see a bit of both. But that being said, the overall culture here is more collaborative. Students work together and they support each other. Instead of trying to one-up another, they do work together to build great things. In fact, Duffield Engineering has a set of core values known as EPIC, EPICC. EPIC stands for excellence, purpose, innovation, community, and collaboration. We integrate all of these values directly into our education. Okay, and last question in this section. What academic resources help students succeed in Duffield Engineering? Here at Cornell, we have a variety of offices across campus that are designed to help support students. Two examples of those cross-campus offices include the Learning Strategy Center and the Student Support and Advocacy Services. We also have Duffield Engineering specific resources, and that would include academic advising, Office of Inclusive Excellence, we have peer tutoring, and our Sealander Center that I mentioned earlier. Our students are all assigned an advisor to help ensure that students have the guidance, support, and tools needed to succeed. And I'm going to turn it back over to Terry.
Great. So I am going to talk about choosing and changing majors. We got a lot of questions about this. And so I'm going to again go over a little bit of background and then get into the questions. So when you come into Duffield Engineering, you come in as an engineer. There is no major. You do not have an affiliation with anything. You are an engineer. You affiliate with a major during your sophomore year. And what we want is for you to explore a little bit, to have some experiences and be able to find what you really want to major in. We have no caps on our majors, so everyone can join what they want. It's not what is left over or just available to you during that semester. You can join truly what you would like to have. You work with your advisors to talk about what you're interested in, and then you are able to affiliate with it. So now that you have that background, let's go through some of these questions so that I can answer them for you. So the first question was, how competitive are different engineering majors and how easy is it to switch majors? So again, we have no caps. You're not competing with anyone for spots in computer science or anything. You can major in what you want. We do have some GPA requirements, but those are based in how, if you're on good academic standing to make sure you're on your feet. It is not for competitive reasons. So these are not GPAs that are like way high bars. I've got to get the highest so I can make it into that major. We just want to make sure you're doing all right, that you're making it in your courses. So some do have that, but it is not competitive in any way. In terms of switching majors, that is something you can do. It isn't hard necessarily, but you do have to work with your academic advisor and make sure that you are meeting the affiliation requirements. And you're kind of making a plan to get there. Now, that is switching a major within Duffield Engineering, within our college. Robin is going to talk a little bit about what happens if you want to switch out of our college to a major that is outside of engineering, and she will in a little bit. But in terms of within engineering, it's not necessarily hard. You just have to make a little bit of a plan. All right, our next question is, what should first year students do to explore engineering disciplines before declaring a major? I kind of love this question. It's really what we're built for here. We want you to take an intro to engineering course. It is required by our curriculum to kind of get a feel for what that major is like and what it's going to be like to be in that field. You should talk to upperclassmen. You should ask them about their experiences, their pathways, why they're interested in what they're doing in their majors. You should join research or a project team. You know, we have sub teams on project teams. If you're interested in electrical engineering, join the electrical engineering sub team. See if you actually like it. You can join an affinity group and talk to other people within your community and talk to them about, what they've been involved in, what it's like to be in that major. So basically what I'm saying is you should make some connections, whether that's through people or through experiences that interest you. And that is going to help you kind of form your decision about where am I going to go, what pathway is going to get me through engineering, what major is best for me. And our final question in this section is, there are some majors that are offered by different colleges, like computer science is both in Duffield Engineering and the College of Arts and Sciences. What are the differences between these two majors? Fantastic question. I know we don't make it quite easy enough for you, do we? But yes, there are a number of majors that can be found in more than one college. So something like computer science or earth and atmospheric sciences, they are both offered by more than one college. The actual major is the same. So if you major in computer science, your core classes will all be the same, whether you are coming from Duffield Engineering or from another college. The people sitting next to you in class might be engineering students, but they might be from another college too. So all of that is the same. The things that are different are what's surrounding that. So one is when you are applying to a college, our college has different requirements than what arts and sciences has. So you have to do some research there and kind of figure out what requirements we have versus what they have and what maybe suits you better, how you're going to find your pathway in. Um, so do some research on that. In addition, the courses surrounding your major will be different. So our requirements for an engineering degree is going to be different than other colleges. So the actual major, no difference. What's different is the surrounding classes and the pathway in terms of applying because we have different requirements. Yeah. So do a little bit of research, see what might be a best fit for you between the different colleges, but the actual major is the same. All right, passing it to Robin again.
Thank you. So Cornell University is structured with 8 admitting undergraduate colleges and schools. So when you apply to Cornell, you're going to select the specific college or school in the application. We received many questions about whether students must remain where they're admitted or if it's possible to switch colleges. So that's actually our next question. If I start in one Cornell college or school, can I change to a major in another Cornell college? Yes. The answer is yes, it is possible. This is called internal transfer. But you do have to remember that there's a process involved and it's not guaranteed. We strongly encourage you to apply to the college where you feel like you'd like to study, and we don't recommend playing a game with your application. We have a whole website that's dedicated to internal transfer that reviews the guidelines and the timelines. So if you're interested in seeing those fine details, I recommend to go check it out. At the bare minimum, you would be expected to remain in your home college for at least a year while meeting the requirements to internally transfer into another college here at Cornell. And there are only certain times and semesters where students can submit an internal transfer application. So next, we have some questions about double majors, minors, and interdisciplinary study. So it is possible to have a double major at Cornell, but not too many students do it. So to double major, our requirement is that you must select 2 majors from within the same college, as you're not permitted to double major across colleges. An example of what I mean is mechanical engineering is here in Duffield Engineering, and history is in arts and sciences. So if you wanted to double major in those two, you wouldn't be able to do that because they're in separate colleges. So if you're interested in focusing on a second topic across campus, that is still possible. You can consider a minor. Duffield Engineering offers 19 minors, but there are over 120 minors across campus. And you can select a minor from another college, and that's separate from the college that your major's in. About a third of our engineering students do minor in something. We are a liberal arts institution and we want you to be well-rounded, and we expect that you take classes outside of engineering too. So the first question here is, how easy is it to pursue a double major or minor within engineering or across Cornell colleges? So as I just mentioned, if you're interested in a double major, it may be possible, but the 2 majors would both have to be within the same college. Due to the number of courses required, it's more common to select a minor or maybe 2. You don't have to select a minor if you don't want to, but you may. Either way, we strongly encourage our students to work with their advisors to make sure that they're taking appropriate courses at the appropriate times to meet their goals. My next question is, can engineering students take courses in business, hotel administration, economics, biology, music, or other colleges? Yes, please do. Engineering students aren't only able to take courses in other colleges, but they actually need to take a handful of courses in other colleges. Some of these courses are built directly into the core curriculum, as students need to take a certain number of of specific math and science courses, 2 writing seminars, and 6 liberal studies distribution classes. The liberal studies distribution classes cover a larger range of coursework, and sometimes students are able to pick a minor easily based on the coursework that they've taken using their liberal studies distribution classes. How flexible is Cornell for interdisciplinary study and research? We love interdisciplinary study and research here. Our university model allows for students to take courses across many of the colleges, as I just discussed. And if you're interested in research, you are not restricted to doing research within your own college. If you find a professor doing research that you're interested in, whether it's in your college or another one within Cornell, you can certainly reach out. Next, we have how long does adding another major or minor usually take? Adding a minor is usually pretty straightforward. You take the required courses for your minor, and then you fill out some forms to get the minor added. Adding a second major takes a bit more work. Students must first affiliate with their first engineering major, and after completing 1 full semester in that major, they can submit an application to double major. This application must be approved by faculty in both majors. A double major often requires students to take at least 1 additional semester of courses. So I'm going to turn it back over to Terry and we'll hear a bit about research.
Yes, so as Robin said, we are a Research One institution. We want students in the labs, faculty want you to be in the labs, and there are many opportunities here in Duffield Engineering and outside in other colleges to do research. So I think we've already stated at any time, 50% of our students are participating in research. So yes, research is a big part of our program. So with that in mind, diving into our first question about this, how early can undergraduates begin research, especially first-year students? How accessible is research for undergraduates? So absolutely, you can do it in your first semester. You can jump in. Some people may want to wait and just get their feet under them, and that's totally fine. And I think a lot of people do that. But the option is there. You do have to search a bit for this. You have to kind of drive the bus in terms of finding the opportunity, talk to people, ask faculty if there's space in their lab, review their website to see what the process is for getting into their lab. But if you want it, you will find it. We also have a website dedicated to how to find research opportunities for undergraduate students. So yes, it is 100% accessible. You can do it. You have to take the initiative to do it. But if you want it, you can find it. There's also a wide wake here when it comes to research. So you can enter a lab without any experience and just like you're trying to figure out how to pipette, what it's like to be in a lab, having that first kind of experience. And you can also grow all the way up to having your own research lab with your own research group, and then presenting at conferences so that that research experience can really grow with you. So if you do enter in your first year, then you're going to be able to have that experience and continue to grow with it. The second question that I have here is, can students work with professors across multiple departments? Yes, absolutely. You can do research in any other college here. You can go to Arts and Sciences, the College of Agriculture and Life Sciences. Find what you're interested in and bring engineering to that field. We want that to happen. We know that engineering touches all fields. So we love to see our students bringing it over there. All right, we have another section that I'm going to talk about here, and that's clubs, project teams, and experiential learning campus involvement. So a little bit of background and then going into the questions. So we want you to find an outlet here for you to get involved, become part of our community. And we have over 1,000 student organizations here at Cornell, so you can find something that's interesting. If not, you can always create it. I think one thing I want to go a little bit deeper in, and Robin did talk about this a bit, was our project team. So we have 36 project teams. They are all student-led, and they have the support of about 4 staff members. We have a number of facilities on campus that they use, including our experiential learning lab, our automotive lab. There's wet labs for BME. We have a rapid prototyping lab, and all of these students work out of these labs and have access to them. At any time, a third of our students are participating in project teams, and they are a bit competitive to get into, but not in the sense of you need to already have been an engineer and have a ton of experience to get on. It's only because there are only so many spots available. And since students earn academic credit while they're on the team, they have to be limited with those spots. So in terms of being able to join a team, students say that what they're looking for really is work ethic, passion, being able to be on a team, all of these things that we kind of talked about characteristic wise before with applications. They look for that over the actual experience of being an engineer for getting on a team. So, in addition to that, in having all of those experiences, we want you to find your community here. And maybe it is on project teams, but maybe it's like joining communities like SWE, the Society of Women Engineers, or WIC, Women in Computing at Cornell. We have a lot of affinity groups that students can join. In addition to our Office of Inclusive Excellence, they are a wonderful resource that you can walk in there and get a bunch of support as well. So it helps support all of our students to find a community while they are here. So with that said, I'm going to jump into these questions. And the first is, how do students join project teams? So they have a club fest or a student project team fest that Robin had talked about earlier, where they display information about their teams. Then students who are interested apply to different teams. You can apply to more than one team. And after that application, you may be asked to come in for 1 or 2 rounds of interviews. And then students are selected to go on the teams. And you can join in your first year, or you can continue to try as you go through sophomore, junior year as well. And I really encourage you, if you join a project team, or if you try to join a project team and you get a no in the first round in your first year, it doesn't happen. Please continue if you are interested to apply, and it will help you continue to get on that team. Because I have talked to a number of students where they say, like, I didn't get on my first year. It was really disappointing. I tried again, and now I am the sub-team lead for, electrical engineering or mechanical engineering of this. It truly is just about spots. And if you're interested, I encourage you to keep going. So if project teams is something you're interested in, that is how you get on a team. Next question, what engineering clubs and co-curricular opportunities are most popular? Project teams are, research is, but we also have students that are involved in things like music, intramural sports, affinity groups, Greek life. You should find the community that helps you feel welcomed here, and then use that as an outlet or a place to find people that you enjoy being around. What unique experiential learning opportunities does Cornell offer? Again, project teams, I feel like we were talking about this a lot, but a lot of people ask about it. We have the largest program in the country for project teams. Global Star Cantabria is something that Robin also touched on. We also have traditional study abroad programs. Our Sealander Leadership Program is embedded into our curriculum with Leadership for All. We also have a certificate program. You can do skills classes where you learn active listening or giving feedback, conflict resolution. All of these things are really great skills for engineers to have, for everyone to have, but engineers specifically too. Um, Obviously research. So we are a program where you will get hands-on experience, and you're going to learn outside of the classroom just as much as you would inside of a lecture hall. Our next question is, what traditions and campus experiences are uniquely Cornell? What a great question. So Dragon Day is probably our most well-known tradition specific to Cornell. And it's this friendly rivalry between our first year architecture students and then our engineering students. And so what happens is the architecture students build this giant dragon, and they parade it across campus, and people dress up in costumes, and it's like this campus-wide event. And it goes all the way across campus to the engineering quad. And that's where it meets the Phoenix, which is what the engineering students build. And they fight, but it's not really a fight. They just kind of like stare at each other and chant. And then it continues onto the parade route. And it's really neat. It's over 100 years old. Definitely look up pictures. It's changed all through the years. They always have a new dragon, a new Phoenix that's created. It's really quite phenomenal what these students come up with. In addition, I think the second one is our Slope Day event, which is a huge celebration at the end of the year where our campus invites a musical act to come and puts on a concert on the slope. There's food and there's fun, and everyone just celebrates the end of the year before finals. And if the weather is nice, it's just a fantastic, it's not nice, but especially when the weather is nice, it's a fantastic event. All right. Can engineering students stay involved in music, theater, or performing arts? I hope you know by now, yes, we want you to continue to have those other things that you're involved in. There are engineering students involved in many things outside of engineering, and we encourage you to find those outlets. And the final question that I have for the evening, and then I'm going to pass it to Robin for one more section, is what is dorm life like? So all first year students live on North Campus. We have about 3,000 first year students that join us every year. And there's a pretty new dining hall up there, in Morrison Hall, named after Toni Morrison, who's one of our alums. And it's a fantastic hall. There's a lot to choose from in that dining hall, and people really enjoy it. You typically share a dorm room with another student or students, and it could be an engineering student, but also might not be. It might be a student from another college. If you are interested in programmed housing, I would encourage you to go on to the Residential Life website and look at all of the lists of program housing that they have. Most people do the traditional first year housing, but you can find more information about that on the website. With that, it's on to Robin for international and transfer information.
Thanks, Terry. So a little earlier, I talked about the difference between domestic and international students. So we do have a few additional questions regarding international applicants, and then those questions actually lead directly into transfer questions. So first we have, how are international applicants evaluated differently? So all of our applications, regardless of whether they're international or domestic, are evaluated with respect to their high school. So where the difference is between international and domestic applicants is that we are need blind when reviewing domestic applicants, and we're need aware when reviewing international applicants. And remember, need corresponds with financial aid. Question number 2, how does the transfer transcript and recommendation process work for international students? So students who are applying from international schools must submit the required materials, including transcripts and letters of recommendation. If your materials are in another language, they must be translated into English. No need to worry, our selection committee is very familiar with academic curriculums from around the world. And finally, my last question is, how are transfer prerequisites evaluated? If you're a transfer applicant, please double check our transfer admissions web pages for the timeline and for admissions requirements. All engineering transfer applicants have 4 core required courses, as well as additional coursework based on your major. You can compare the Cornell course descriptions with the course descriptions at your institution to see if the courses are similar. After transfer students are admitted and they submit the necessary materials, they'll find out which courses will transfer in and how they'll be applied to their program.
Wonderful. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight. We hope that you got some of your questions answered. If you have more questions or there's something that we didn't go over that you're interested in, look at our info session online definitely as a resource, but also feel free to reach out to us via email. engr_admissions@cornell.edu is our email to reach out to us. In addition, I just want to let you know that we are going to start our fall virtual events in September on the 16th. And it will be coming up to register soon. It's not quite there yet, but on September 16th, we will have an engineering application seminar where we're going to talk a bit more in detail about things like essays, how to use AI ethically in your application, and going over a bit more about the application, breaking it down for you all. Our second one is going to be October 12th, and that's going to be a last minute application question similar to this that we're going to have again, and we will answer your questions that you have for last minute application questions. So with that, thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate you being here and submitting all of your questions. Have a great night.